Problem placement in fashion design practice, reflections and recommendations for fashion design education in an era of complexity. The act of designing is fundamentally about problem solving. As design evolved from craft into professional practices and academic disciplines, it became increasingly focused on finding ways to add value to people's lives through solving complex problems. Different design disciplines developed to offer solutions through products, services, and systems that can be sold to a market. Regardless of the discipline, open complex problems in design lie in the need to conceive and plan what does not yet exist before the final result is known. The question that arises is, what are the problem domains that experienced fashion designers manage?
Applications often used in fashion education suggest that fashion design is mainly concerned with garment aesthetics and garment construction. This creates a perception that fashion designers manage two-dimensional design problems that are situated within the parameters of communicating aesthetic appeal and construction methods of a product. A focus on the process of design is not unique to fashion design texts. Descriptive work about design in general has historically focused on analyzing and describing the design process and methods. Although understanding the design process and methods are essential in education, other aspects of design, such as solving problems at different levels in practice, needs further exploration. Fashion studies have predominantly focused on topics regarding the social, cultural, economic, and historical nature of fashion, neglecting fashion as an applied field of design. The lack of design-specific research in fashion has led to a vague understanding of experienced fashion designers' creative practice and the complexity of the design problem that they manage. This paper reflects on experienced Johannesburg fashion designers and the problems they are faced with to provide further recommendations for fashion design practice and education. Within the context of the Fourth Industrial Revolution and complex integrated systemic thinking, this paper suggests that it is necessary to explore the correlation between practicing fashion designers' activities and problems with Buchanan's seminal proposition of problem framing and placement domains, which remains relevant today. These domains are communication, construction, strategic planning, and systemic integration. Traditional fashion design education often emphasizes aesthetics and technical construction before strategically deciding on where the design effort needs to be focused within complex integrated systems. As the fashion industry moves into the Fourth Industrial Revolution, this paper asks what problems fashion designers are faced with to better understand how fashion education can adapt.
To identify the domains of problems, a multiple case study was conducted. Activity theory was used as a theoretical framework to collect and analyze the data. Buchanan's design thinking matrix, identified as the 4 orders of design, was then used to interpret the findings. Dawes stated that to describe something as complex as design, you need a framework that can describe the object of the activity, the design outcome, the actor, the context, as well as activities within the design process. In response to Dawes, Kuti identified activity theory as a suitable framework to describe design. The activity theory model identifies multiple perspectives on an activity related to its subject, the tool, the object, community, division of labor, and rules to provide a comprehensive description of real-world practice. It's important to note that the objective of the activity is at the center of activity theory, and when relating this to this paper, it means that the design outcome is at the heart of the design activity, highlighting the need for designers to identify and solve interrelated problems in different domains using tools to achieve the desired outcome. Although the original study that the paper is based on described each of the activity system components, this paper will only focus on the findings related to the object, the design outcome, and problem domains. The figure shows how the activity system components were actually adapted to the fashion design activity system.
A qualitative approach was taken to develop detailed descriptions of how the participants, subjects involved, interpreted their individual experience of fashion design activity. Each of the 3 designers' activity system models, as outlined in the activity theory, was viewed as an individual case. The findings of each individual case were first coded and analyzed and then compared in a cross-case analysis to identify generalizations within the designer's activity system. The findings that emerged from this analysis were collated and clustered together to describe the designer's design outcomes. These findings were then compared to Buchanan's problem domains to identify the problem domains of fashion designers. Observation of the designers and their teams working in their studios were conducted through field notes and video recordings. Semi-structured interviews were also used as a data collection method to observe and describe each individual case. The triangulation of data from multiple collection methods allowed for in-depth and credible findings to emerge.
The original findings of the study identified 5 outcomes that made up the objective of the fashion design problem. Fashion designers manage open, complex problems throughout the design process, whereby each attempt to solve a problem changes the understanding of what the problem may actually be. It's therefore necessary to unpack the outcomes that make up the complex design problem to view how they are interrelated and influence and impact each other. Aesthetic design refers to the distinct style and look that the design is known for. Aesthetics are best described through the elements of design, color, texture, form, and the shape of garment details. The design concept refers to the creative or strategic idea that informs the design of either an individual garment or a collection of garments. In this study, the design concepts were mainly emotionally and creatively motivated. Functional design considers how a garment services the wearer in relation to comfort, fit, and quality. The functionality of a garment refers to both how the garment is experienced by the wearer in terms of comfort, fit, and the practicality of garment details, such as the pockets and openings, as well as the quality of the construction. Profitable design is concerned with understanding consumers' needs within a specific market category, as well as the perceived value of a garment at a specific price point. Understanding the consumer's needs and expectations within the market category that a product is being designed for is a strategic approach to increase profitability. This design outcome is also concerned with increasing sales by addressing as many consumers within the market category as possible by offering a variety of garments and garment styles. Lastly, this outcome is also concerned with promoting the products through various external communication strategies. Responsible design is firstly concerned with sustainable design practices, such as the reduction of waste during manufacturing processes and the sourcing of fabrics that have a low environmental impact, both when it's produced and discarded. Secondly, this outcome is concerned with social responsibility and addressing social dilemmas. It's important to note that these outcomes are interrelated and form part of a holistic and complex design problem. Profitability encompasses the design problem as the main objective of the designer, whilst also providing the strategic direction that informs the other design outcomes. The design concept can be informed by any of the other outcomes. Runway collections often have a creative concept based on an idea, a theme, or a trend, but the concept can also refer to the strategy behind the collection. Aesthetics is a starting point or basis of a garment or collection and also strategically informs the design, as each of the designer's brands has a distinct aesthetic that they are known for. The functionality of the garment can be related to aesthetics, as the fit of the garment directly correlates to the visual proportions of the body. The quality, the fit, serviceability, and practicality of a garment directly motivates the consumer's purchasing decision, which again relates to the strategy for increasing profitability. The design outcomes are interrelated and need to be considered holistically. Design problems are often described as being complex. This is evident if you consider multidimensional and interrelated outcomes that all form part of one design problem.
If we compare these findings to Buchanan's 4 orders of design, we can further unpack the fashion design objective by also locating it in 4 problem domains. Within the context of 4RR, we need to recognize the problems that designers are faced with to understand how fashion design education can adapt to prepare students for the substantive challenges in an evolving professional practice. In particular, we need to understand the different design outcomes and how they correlate to the different design problem domains. Buchanan argues that there are 4 main domains or 4 orders of design where problem definition and solution need to be considered simultaneously, as solutions actioned in one domain may impact on all other domains. These domains presented by Buchanan have been linked to fashion design outcomes through symbolic and visual communication, construction of material objects, strategic planning of activities and organizational services, as well as a systemic integration of complex systems for living, working, learning, and playing. Symbolic and visual communication. The invention of signs, symbols, and images are used as a representation for communicating information, ideas, and arguments. In particular, communicating the design idea forms part of the design process and promoting the design outcome of brand development. Some examples of these activities include sketching, draping, and CAD. Construction of material objects. By judging physical products, the correct materials and skills required to construct garment ranges that meet the physical, social, psychological, and cultural needs of their current and potential customers. Within this domain of design, designers interact with customer feedback, wholesalers, and valued teams consisting of pattern makers, technical designers, and manufacturers. Strategic planning of activities and organizational services, deciding on the most efficient action to reach specific objectives, includes meeting the needs of consumers within a specific market category, improving garment quality, manufacturing, and the consideration of how to improve their business and services to contribute to making the human experience more meaningful and satisfying. And finally, systemic integration of complex systems for living, working, learning, and playing. Evaluating the parts that make up complex systems and environments, such as the lived experience of human beings, that consider reaching new understanding and social purpose regarding appropriate activities such as sustainable design and design aimed at solving social dilemmas, as well as products requiring collaboration and interaction with other disciplines. Buchanan highlights that it is important to note that these 4 domains of thought, action, products, and science are interrelated and cannot be separated, as problem framing in one domain will impact all other domains that have developed within contemporary society. The practice of fashion designers can be considered through these problem domains as they are necessary to run a business and to maintain a brand. These problem domains reflect the typical supply chain of a fashion system, including a symbolic and visual communication, design and construction, and strategy that is informed by action to meet customers' needs. The domain of systemic integration presents a designer with increasing challenges that need to navigate between the concerns of human-centered design, the inclusion of diverse participants, user experience design, and the negotiation of different values held by diverse participants to establish a middle ground to achieve what is possible, requiring thought.
To adequately prepare students in fashion design education as the fashion industry moves into the 4th industrial revolution, it's important to understand the complex problems that designers are faced with and apply these problems within fashion education to ensure that students are adequately prepared to meet the challenges this new era presents. The role of the designer, strategist, and thinker becomes increasingly important. Strategical design for commercial success is informed by the different design outcomes and problem domains that make up the complex design problem. More emphasis should be placed in education on the different design outcomes and problem domains that designers manage.
The study found that the biggest challenge faced by experienced fashion designers is their inability to define the complexity of the design problem. The contribution of this paper to fashion design education is to provide a framework for strategic nodes of problem placements that can be used to help future designers build an understanding of the multiple dimensions of the complex design problems. More emphasis in fashion education should be placed on strategically deciding on where the design effort needs to be focused within complex integrated systems. The identified design outcomes and problem domains in the study can be used to underpin design theory in fashion education.